Hello and welcome everybody to the Buy Round season review, not preview. Nearly got that one wrong, Charlie. You threw me off a little bit there.
That is my fault entirely because I said, "Oh, how do you want to start this?" You're going to start this as the season preview, so I'll take full responsibility, mate. But you just showed that, that ability to just move on the fly.
Yeah,
keep
block
me
out
out
the
of
noise.
Block out
the noise. Focus
Yeah.
on what is important, which is the season review for these teams that finished outside of the 8. I guess on a whole of picture NRL season, numbers through the roof. Lots of reasons to be celebrating the season that was. You go back and you think about Las Vegas, second time we were there. Still, when we land in the States, it doesn't quite feel real that rugby league is there. Obviously looking ahead, especially with the Dogs and the Dragons heading there next year, going to be even bigger and better. But wow, it was an amazing start to the season. It dominates the season launches, and you think back to the optimism. We are going to touch on South Sydney. Like, was their season over before it even begun with those devastating preseason injuries?
Yeah, I remember we recorded that podcast after Camo did his Achilles as if the South season had died, and then they started strong and everyone was bagging us. But in the end, we were right that the South had a terrible year, really, in all honesty. 9 wins only. We'll get to them. But, mate, incredible year of footy. Like, the moments, it's just been such a crazy whirlwind of the season. Like, Mark Nawaqanitawase's try, that was incredible. Like, that's the best try I've ever seen by far. I'm glad it won the Try of the Year award at the Dally M's. But so many incredible tries, moments, great games. It felt like the final series as a whole was exceptional. And, it just has been an incredible year. In my opinion, the best season we've had in a long time.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. And obviously, it's hard to envisage us getting better as a game, but we will. Talk of threats from rebel leagues being formatted or created rather. But what a season it's been for the NRL. That's down to the players fundamentally for delivering the product. Some of, like you say, Mark Nawaqanitawase, the athleticism.
Yeah.
People like Halasima from the Warriors. Some of the tries that he's come up with. Latrell Mitchell, that field goal against the Broncos, Eric Cantona-esque. So many moments that have defined the season. It took a while to get the first coach out. I made the prediction that there wouldn't be one this year. I thought we were going to go a full year without seeing a coach moved on.
You almost got it right.
And I say this with true sincerity. I'm gutted I'm wrong. It's horrible to see coaches lose their job. It's a natural part of any business, any industry, any sporting team or franchise. We saw 2 this season, and one of those is Adam O'Brien, who took charge of the Knights for his final year. Difficult back end with that hammering by the Eels, and I think that the white flag for the Knights had well and truly been waved.
I think a couple of things hurt Adam O'Brien as well. Not just the way they were on the field, but I think moments in press conferences really cost him as well. When to go against the Newcastle fans, I think was one of the stupidest things of all year. When they turn up week in, week out, they are as loyal as any fan base. Like, they sold out their last game of the year at home, the Knights, despite sitting last. That was a huge mistake by him, I think, as well. We'll start with the Knights, obviously. We're going to work our way up through the ladder. So,
just going back to that, Charlie,
Yeah.
just on that particular moment, I can't remember the team that they played or exactly the day that they played, but that was a game they ended up winning. I know we called that game for Triple M, and the weather was horrendous. They were down at halftime, and the fans had turned out on a wet, I believe, a Thursday night to watch their side, and you've just got to wonder if that was the nail in the coffin for the Knights.
It might have been Knights Seagulls round 14, Jimmy, from memory. Yeah, it was. Tony's giving me a nod. I think that was the game.
The 26-22.
They ended up beating Manly. But yeah, 17th they came, Jimmy. 6 wins only. A wooden spoon. It's not been that long between drinks for the Knights for a wooden spoon as well. Of course, they had that run with Nathan Brown where they got a couple of wooden spoons. But a terrible year for them, Jimmy.
Yeah, and a lot of the Knights' hopes goes on the the fitness and availability and durability of Kalen Ponga. Unfortunately, another injury-plagued season, and then their attack really suffered. I thought when Dom Young came back, it did spark a little bit to an extent.
It was a very short sugar hit, though. The
you're probably
hit.
right. That's a fair assessment, Charlie. It was a quick sugar hit, and you think about the relationship between Jackson Hastings and maybe some senior players there. That was evident that O'Brien wasn't willing to put him in. I think he came back and played one game. He was 18th man for a game, but clearly some issues there. Struggled to get a halves combination.
Well, that's their biggest thing, man. It's been their biggest thing for the last few years, and hopefully Dylan Brown can shove it up. But they've had several halves combinations again. Like you can't really win many games if you haven't got your spine locked down.
Well, that's been their problem. And when you have problems, you look for solutions, right? Their solution to their problem is a 5'8".
Yeah.
And it's easy with the benefit of hindsight, but I'm going to mention a player that is a junior from the Hunter area, I believe, if memory serves me correctly, that they had an offer for that got knocked back significantly less compared to what they're paying Dylan Brown, and that's Jonah Pezzett.
Yeah.
Jonah Pezzett.
Yeah.
Now, as a Knights fan, or even in my role, I guess as a pundit and having an opinion on anything and everything NRL based, with the money that they've spent on Dylan Brown, obviously, he's shown at times what he's capable of, but they've really broke the bank and broke their ability to have any real flexibility in and around that half position for the next 10 years. I don't know why they needed to go so big for so long. All the risk is with the club. Very little risk is with the player. I believe they offered Jonah Pezzett about half what they ended up offering Dylan Brown. You've got to wonder if a couple of an increase in that digit going up from maybe to 700-800 might have been perceived as a gamble for a 3 or 4, maybe a 3-year deal. Jonah Pezzett on 750. But I'm just spitballing figures here.
Yeah, but you're right.
That would have come under that deal would have come under the spotlight. But I think more light would have been shone upon that, and it could have been deemed as a very positive move, and it could have turned into a bargain.
But with contracts, Jimmy, you know this. You don't normally get the long-term security and the extra dollars. Like normally you might be haggling over an extra year here, but we'll duck the salary down a little bit. We'll give you an extra year. It's not normally, we'll give you an extra 6 years and we'll also give you $1.3 million a year.
Yeah.
Like he's got 10-year deal, $1.3 million. Like all of a sudden he's the highest paid half in the game.
Yeah.
I don't want to be too negative because they got the spoon. You want to sort of, but it's been a shit year, and the future could be ruined by this albatross of a contract.
Yeah, and that's where the spotlight comes on the Knights. Like, how much did that affect their season this year? Especially the sort of the belief that the hope or the prospects for the future for those players could have been looking at that and going, is this what we've got? Right, respectfully, is this what we've got to look forward to? It's not a signing that when you finish with the wooden spoon, you naturally think with the qualities that Dylan Brown has displayed, he seems to play his best football when someone else is running the ship, sort of the Robin to the Mitchell Moses Batman. And he plays a fantastic role like that.
Yeah.
But with you'd hope that he can become a dual strike player with Kalen Ponga, but it's a big risk.
I hope we're wrong about this as well, because Dylan Brown's a great player, played for his country, killed it for Parramatta, obviously was part of that grand final run for Parramatta. I hope it works out well, because he also seems to be a wonderful human being as well.
You know what? You don't want it. You don't want anyone to fail. Like,
no,
as the next
but the
player,
Knights, it's the old with it. It's good for the NRL when the Knights are humming, and I think that's true as well.
Well, obviously a very proud working class area, and then you think of even go back to the beginning of the season, putting in what I would say was star forward Leo Thompson's highest offer for him to stay at the football club, and then him
subsequently.
That's easy for me to say. Rejecting the offer from the Knights to join the Bulldogs. That must have been very disappointing for that playing group to receive that news.
Well, Leo Thompson's a good person to talk about with the Knights, because he was probably arguably one of their most disappointing players this year for his role in the team.
Yeah, I think that's probably a fair assessment. Charlie probably maybe had an eye on next year. And look, you want to see your players give it their all each and every week, but you can understand why he was maybe thinking of what's ahead.
We're going to do a grade for every team. I'm guessing for the Newcastle Knights, Jimmy, it's an F.
Are we going all the way to F? I thought we were only down as low as E.
No, God, no. There's got to be an F, surely. I mean, you can give him an E if you want. It's not my grade.
What's the bottom?
F is the lowest. If you do a test, F is basically like you're an absolute numpty. You're a moron if you get an F, or you haven't even shown up to the test.
Well, Newcastle did turn up, because you know what? The positive thing about their season is some of the defence that they displayed. And look, it did fade badly, but there was, during that middle to three-quarter end of the season, they were actually up there with one of the best defensively in terms of statistics, the better.
They were at one point. They fell off a cliff at the end.
And that's when I talk about them waving the white flag, O'Brien out the door. And obviously now that's Justin Holbrook's task. I guess the good thing for Justin Holbrook is they can't go any worse. But he's got some big...
Because points is a huge issue. Like, if you look at they only scored 338 points in 24 games of footy.
Yeah, well, when you put it like that, considering just how open the games have become, you've got to give them an F.
An F for the Knights. Hopefully they go better next year. The other team with a sack coach, Jimmy, 16th on the ladder, it was the Gold Coast Titans. From start to finish, a disappointing year, really.
Yeah, and again, go back to the beginning of the season, so much optimism. It was supposed to be... who plays where? Keanu Keeney injured with that neck.
That was a huge loss for them.
That was a huge loss. Tino back, but they never really fired a shot. They really didn't. It was a really disappointing year for the Titans.
We expect Dave Fafita to end up at the Bunnies. That might have even broken by the time you're listening to this, but that's been an issue for them again this year. They just couldn't get anything out of Fafita.
Yeah, it's hard when you've got so much money tied up in one player that plays in the edge back row position. You paid that money to first and foremost influence games, and he may argue he wasn't given the right opportunity to do that in terms of the side of the field that he played, the minutes he was getting, whether he started, whether he came off the bench. But you've got to impact games. There's also other elements of being one of the highest paid players, not just at your club, but in the game, in terms of what you need to display in and around the dressing room. But that was a big issue for the Titans. Who plays where? Obviously, a bit of an aging Kieran Foran looked busted towards the back end, and subsequently Can't say that word.
Bin the word subsequently. As a new rule we're starting now. Subsequently would not be a word that is going to be used on this podcast.
No, it's gone.
It's gone.
It's a good word.
It's a great word. It obviously ties your thoughts together nicely. Yeah. But it's a word that is going to be now banned from the bar round.
So Kieran Foran ultimately retired. He did look. He looked like he was struggling towards the back end. Yeah. The body looked busted. But the Titans, you go back to the beginning of the year and so much optimism. A lot of people tipping them to make the 8. Hasler's second year in charge. We saw in his first year, they started poorly. Then they came good. They went on a bit of a run, but they just couldn't quite maintain that level, that standard, and primed for a strong season. But it looked for a long time like they were going to receive the spoon. Mm-hmm. And obviously they move on. Josh Hannay takes over. Big task for him to go up there and unite that playing group. And he's a rookie coach. They've gone from a really experienced premiership winning coach. It's difficult to know just exactly where it all went wrong. I think that requires a really in-depth review, because all the ingredients for a successful season appeared to be there. Like all of them. Coach, roster, location. Like, what went wrong?
I think maybe that goes to show how bad a job Des maybe was doing there with the roster. When you actually look at that roster, it's an incredible roster. And I know you got coached by Des Hasey, you're very close with him. But in reality, a team like that should be outperforming where they're at by a long way, mate. Like, even Keanu Kinney missed most of the year, huge loss for them. But then you got a guy like AJ Brimson there as the backup, who's played Origin. He's a good player. Like, the main issue maybe is their spine and how they fit everyone together. Like Jaden Campbell, AJ Brimson, Keanu Kinney, they're like, are they all fullbacks? Is that the issue?
Probably. Yeah, I think they probably are. And maybe you've got to make that call and you've got to get it right. You think back to the Cowboys and they had that decision of the hammer or drink water. Mm. And Drinkwater's a good player, but he's not the hammer.
No.
And I think Hannay probably needs to figure that out. Who's my number one? And then bank on it and figure that out quickly.
Yeah.
And you can't afford to get that wrong. And then maybe move, see if the other ones have interest in playing for another football club, because it's difficult when fullback's such a specialised position. Now, I know AJ played a little bit of centre and Campbell played a little bit in the halves, but if you've got like genuine desire to be a number one, you can't be all in on your role.
No,
like you wait. You're almost waiting for someone else to fail, which is just almost impossible in the dressing room.
The other thing as well, where Des maybe didn't suit the Gold Coast Titans, obviously we've seen Madge bring that tough belly to Brisbane, and it's worked really well for them, obviously. But for the Gold Coast Titans, maybe Des's style doesn't suit the cruisy nature of the Gold Coast, and it's a relaxing place. It's a holiday town. It's, the guys there would be living this really cool lifestyle. Do they need someone who kind of can create this real fun, upbeat, energetic style rather than have this like hard-nosed tyrant, which is what Des is like, isn't he, as a coach?
Well, Des is a tough taskmaster, and all coaches are, but we see clubs lean into themes or talk about their identity or their DNA, and for me the Titans, and more specifically, the Gold Coast as an area, beautiful place to live. I mean, I can remember even myself moving here to Australia, living in Cronulla, walking down the Cronulla Mall and being like, oh my God, I just this is in the sort of February just before the season was about to start in 2012, and going, I'm not here on holiday. Mm. It was a day off. Just walking, oh my God, yeah. Like that reality of, because you can fall into a bit of a holiday mode. And you think about when Gold Coast is a place that people go to vacation all year round, but you wonder whether or not the Titans and Josh Hannay need to figure out a way that can be beneficial for them, as opposed to a hindrance for them. A lot of teams do it where they won't have the fanciest of training bases. We spoke to Wade Graham before about the Sharks in 2016, where he's like, we knew who we were. We knew we weren't fancy, but we loved it. That's who we were, and we embraced it. Like, who the Titans are is they happen to be a football franchise that reside in a place where people go to holiday. And then I think fan support is also important. Des has never been one to open the doors to everybody and invite people in. And you know, I know he has a couple of friends within media circles, but the reality of it is, it's if you're not open and you don't invite those local people in to generate fan interest, it can be the difference. We've seen it with the Dogs.
And mate, you're seeing it that they're losing the battle to the AFL in the Gold Coast at the moment, because the Gold Coast Suns are going really well. They made their first ever finals appearance in the season just gone, and they're getting packed houses.
Yeah.
Like and their coach is a guy called Damien Hardwick, who is a legendary coach in the AFL, won a lot of premierships, and he's really embracing doing the media and getting the Suns out there, and the Suns are pushing hard, whereas Des didn't want to bar of any of that stuff.
You know, and players on media bans, you know, David Fafita and his, you know, going back to him, his backflip and that bond between him and Tino, then Tino's constant chat around his clauses. We know we had the Mal Meninga relationship there with him getting that new job in Perth, the head of recruitment and all these little things that just added up. But I think they need to take a leaf out of the Suns book and go, let's embrace this community and bring them with us.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I would have no idea what David Fafita is even like. He did no media, and he's the star. They could have really grown in that community. Tino is fantastic whenever he does media. He speaks so well, and he's post game, the amount of access he gives to people and how honest and raw he is. He's brilliant.
Like Keanu Keeney's another one.
Keanu Kinney's a great character. Chris Orr, who was here, manages him.
Yeah.
And Keanu Kinney is someone who I think does maybe want to do media down the track and stuff like that.
Well, he's a star in waiting.
Yeah.
If he, keep on that trajectory that he's been on.
Yeah.
Like a star in waiting, but we don't know, and he's marketable.
So marketable.
He's, could he reach? If Reece Walsh is the 10 out of 10, Keanu Keeney's currently a 7, but he's got the ability on the Gold Coast to get to 8, 9.
100%. What's your grade then for the season?
Look, I think when you look at expectation, it's got to be an F.
An F, okay. Both coaches sacked. That's it for the sacked coaches. We work our way up the ladder to the St. George Illawarra Dragons, sitting in 15th. Started out with a lot of promise, Jimmy. The Dragons. I mean, if it's incredible when you look at some of their wins they've had against the top 8 teams. They've been fantastic all season against top 8 teams. Some great wins, including they beat the Storm. There's some other great wins in there, but they only managed 8 wins. For all the promise when Shane Flanagan first came there, and they nearly made the 8, obviously the year before, it was a pretty disappointing year for them.
Well, when you look at position on the ladder, which is 15th, no one wants to celebrate that. No one looks at 15th on the ladder and goes, "That's a successful season." But if you take that away, consider some of the sides that they did beat, like you say, in multiple contests as well.
Well, mate, they beat the Raiders, they beat the Broncos, they beat the Panthers, they beat the Storm.
So they beat all the top 4.
They beat all the top 4, yeah. Except the Dogs. I don't think they beat the Dogs. They only played once, I think.
Yeah,
it's insane, mate.
They didn't beat the Dogs, but they lost to a last-minute Lockie Galvin cut-out pass.
Yes, that's right, yeah.
And that was the same situation in a few of those games. They went close with, I think, South Sydney.
Well, mate, there was 3 games they lost by a point.
Yeah.
So it could have been a very different year. They lost to the Warriors by a point. They lost to Eels by a point. They lost to South by a point. And then they also had a game lost by 2 points, obviously. Mate, tight finishes.
Yeah.
They weren't able to execute. What does that come down to then?
Well, that tells you that you're not that far away. You're really not that far away. So there's some really positive signs. Coach Flanagan in the end of season reviews, I imagine for those players that are going to be on board for next year would be, don't let the media beat you down. This is really positive. This core group stays together. Cork, Gutherson, I thought were really good additions to that football side. some young forwards that will be a lot better off a season, 2 seasons under their belt. A couple of them went down with some bad injuries, but they showed some promise. Still think that the middle forward situation needs to be addressed, whether or not Clemmer stays. You look at the loss of Frankie Molo. That hurts. I thought he was fantastic at the Dolphins. He made a difference up there. He was missed. And then you can't escape the elephants in the room when it comes to the Dragons and the half situation. Looked like they were going to go all in. Lockie Ilias, Kyle at 6. Sorry. Looked like they were going to go all in with Lockie Ilias, Kyle Flanagan at 6. Lockie Ilias, I think because they lost those games by 1 point was deemed responsible, which I understand. It is on your half to win you those games, but then I think back to that one game in particular where South got that field goal. I think it was at Wynn Stadium.
Yeah, that was like round 2. I don't know if he played in all of those 1 point losses. I think he might have only played in one of them.
Yeah, but I'm going back to that game against
which
South.
was a dreadful game.
But like the middle forwards just stood there while South got that field goal away.
Yeah,
like they literally just stood there.
Yeah,
and let South get that one away. But going back to Ilias, he was dropped and never to be seen again. And then obviously it was Kyle Flanagan in the 7 shirt. A lot of public criticism, questions asked to Coach Flanagan about the performances of Kyle. He was very defensive and very forthright in his assessment of Kyle. All the players love him. He's not the one making the mistakes. An awful situation. Incredibly complex and difficult to manage that player-coach relationship and father-son relationship being played out publicly in the media. Like, what is Coach Flanagan supposed to say?
Yeah.
But then, maybe not what he's supposed to say, but what is he supposed to do? He's supposed to pick the best team. And if you speak to a lot of Dragons fans, they were of the opinion that it was time for Lockie Ilias, who was somewhat blamed or the fall guy for season 2025, to come back into the team. Especially, I speak to a couple of Dragons fans and did you watch the New South Wales Cup game on the weekend, Jimmy? I'm like, unfortunately not. They were like, Lockie was killing it.
Yeah.
And this is, look, we can talk about whether the Dragons have lost their stature in the game of a legacy club. I think that has gone.
It has gone, but if they come good, it will come back.
It will come back, but and their attendances were down this year. But there's hardcore St. George Illawarra Dragons fans that are watching New South Wales Cup, that do care about the team, that are trying to figure out what is going wrong, who's to blame. Like they're not. There's hardcore fans for the Dragons out there that are not accepting of this situation, which I personally love.
Yeah.
And they want everyone to account. They want the board, they want the chairman, they want the coach, they want the players. They want to know what's going wrong. So they're watching New South Wales Cup and they're saying, I would do this, I would do that. And that would happen at a lot of teams that struggle, but they've all got that passionate fans. But this is what was once a legacy club.
Yeah.
The best in Australia.
The split home ground thing is annoying for fans as well. I reckon that's why. So I reckon they need to play more games in Wollongong. Like that's more
and
of a
adopt that as an identity. Yeah.
Maybe ditch Cogra. I don't know, but then that's going to annoy a certain section of the fan group.
A certain section that go by the name of St. George.
But pick a venue, pick a home ground. Like in all honesty, it doesn't work playing half your games here, half your games there. It's just you need a home stadium. Pick one of them.
I understand what you're saying, but that St. George side is so powerful.
The positives, Jimmy, Dylan Egan.
Yeah.
What a player he looks like. Unfortunately, his ACL injury. The Couchman brothers, they look fantastic. Hamish Stewart.
Yeah.
Pacifici Tonga. They've got these young forwards who it could be end up becoming one of the best packs in the comp down the track.
Could be. Could be. I was surprised to see Jack DeBellin leave at the age that he's at with that bit of experience, especially with Clemmer at time of recording not re-signed. I think that those young forwards maybe need some guidance around what it takes. They're still learning the game, and not just what it takes to play NRL, to win at NRL, to do it on a week to week basis, because that's a different beast. They're still learning that. Atkinson comes in. I still think really they're a star player short, and people pin the blame on those close losses on halves, but sometimes you need that little bit of quality, and they've got some touches of class on an edge with Leilua. He can ball play, but in those big moments, is that what you want, your edge back rower? You think of Val Holmes, the classiness of centre he is, and he can come up with moments. But other than that, we often ask that the members of the really great elite sides, it's a debate around, okay, Cam Smith, you're in that Melbourne team, you're down by 3 points, 4 points, who you giving the ball to? And he'll tell you. Yeah. It's a debate around, is it Slater? Is it Cronk? Is it GI from back in the day? Is it Jesse Bromwich? You never know. Michael Ennis, the Cronulla game, he goes short to Fafita because he's his man that can pull the rabbit out the hat. I don't know if the Dragons quite have that. And
hopefully the appointment of Daniel Anderson as the head of recruitment can help them attract players, because the reality is the Dragons have been really behind the rest of the NRL in terms of having recruitment officers, and that's not something they've invested in the past. And clearly it's been to their detriment. Like most clubs have 2-3 recruitment people. They haven't had anyone until appointing this guy, Daniel Anderson, now.
Big job for Daniel to try and attract the star player. I think they would look at it as, we need to be a development club. They've got a huge junior base down there in the Illawarra region, in the Wollongong region. Yeah. And obviously this is a season review, but obviously we're diving a bit deeper and looking at a bigger picture here. Daniel, I think, needs to look to try and land a genuine superstar. I know, look, my time back there, they recruited heavy, bringing Ben Hunt to the club. They got myself in as well, and it was deemed as like two bit of missing pieces to the puzzle. A star halfback to accompany Gareth Willop, who was the best 5'8" in the comp, I believe, at the time. I was doing my thing there. In 18, we went really close, and it was only injuries, I believe, that held us back. It was a great combination of some players that had come through the system at the St. George Illawarra Dragons, coupled with a few signings to add that little bit of experience from what it's like from outside. So they've got the juniors there now, but I think they do need a fraction of help, especially in the halves. And Atkinson comes in, and the worry for Atkinson is he showed so much promise in 2023, but he signed early, and Fitzgibbon basically said, "I'm not going to fast track your development." I reckon he may have featured a bit more for the Sharks, but the fact that he went to the Dragons, that's hamstrung his development. So, Flanagan, Innes there now, and I think Dean Young have got to really look to fast track that development come the 1st of November.
I'll tell you a player who they should look to get, and for me it's very obvious. It's Luke Metcalf.
Oh, he'd be amazing for them.
And my mail is, and Warriors fans are going to hate this, that he might be looking at Sydney. Wants to get, obviously that's where he's from, close to family, but also more opportunities for other stuff in Sydney as well. So yeah, that's a player they will have a big crack at, I'd say.
Well, I'm not quite sure when he's available.
November 1.
November 1.
Yeah,
he's November 1, isn't he? Yeah, of course. They're going to go massive for him.
Yeah.
Massive. Like, that's it. They're going to... I think he's a player worth going all in on.
Yeah. What's your grade then for the Dragons?
For the Dragons, look, Can you go a D minus?
Yeah, I think that's fair. I'd even maybe give them a D personally. I think if they can flip those tight games,
it's probably a D.
It's a very different story.
I mean, it sounds strange given their 15th, but probably a D.
Next team on the ladder then, the South Sydney Rabbitohs. Now they look like they were going to get the spoon at one point, Jimmy.
Yes, it wasn't looking good at one point. It wasn't looking good past the last couple of games, and then you think back, Murray Mitchell, what a horror start to before pre-season trials as well.
Yeah, disastrous.
Yeah, I did look at their side and think there were some middle short, oversupply in the halves, and then probably the story of this season, you take away Latrell Mitchell, who is up there with the team's most important player in terms of without Latrell, where do they go? But Lewis Dodd coming over from the UK, now he's been released after one season. You've got to look and question who signed off on that because...
And everyone's pointing the finger at each other.
Yeah.
Mark Ellison, Blake Solly, no one wants to take responsibility for it. There was no coach at the time. Wayne doesn't want to take responsibility.
Well, you got to go back and look at the timeline of events, and only they will know.
It's like that meme in Spider-Man, isn't it? Everyone's pointing at each other.
Well, mate, you think, if you're Lewis Dodd, right? You're a young half in England, and you've got aspirations to play in the NRL. South Sydney come calling, and you are... Wow, how good is this? Amazing. Souths fly over to meet with Lewis Dodd, and I imagine there'd been some conversations with his agent. But then, obviously, Souths that year were starting to struggle. And if you're about to sign with a club and they're not going well, and their coach is under pressure and meet constant media speculation, you've got to assume that somebody asked the people that were brokering the deal, who's the coach? Who's coaching? Because it's a huge move from anyone to come from England in any position. I can remember what it was like for me making the decision to sign with the Dogs under Kevin Moore. That was done way in advance, and then he got sacked halfway through the season, and I'm in a panic. And I backed myself as an experienced front rower. Obviously, playing in the front row, there's four of us play every game. So probably not too much stress. But Lewis Dodd wasn't coming here. He wasn't coming to the NRL, I believe, with the contract that he was on to fight for a spot in first grade. He wasn't coming for that. He was coming to play in the NRL. And I think that whoever signed off on that deal was telling him, you're going to be the 7.
Yeah.
Because otherwise you wouldn't come. Souths don't offer him that much. I'm sure that conversation happened, but even if you read between the lines, you've got to assume that you're getting paid that much money not to play reserve grade. Like, it's a statement within itself. Like, 700 grand a year for a young British half he's the half. And I know that when they got Jaden Sullivan on loan, that the Lewis Dodd management team were asking some serious questions about what on earth is going on. Like, why have you gone and signed another first grade half? Is he the backup?
Yeah.
Like,
mate, the reality for the Bunnies, and they would have watched Adam Reynolds in the grand final and gone, what have we done? Why on earth did we let this man go, who was the heartbeat of our club? He was the captain. He was everything about South Sydney Rabbitohs was Adam Reynolds. And it was Blake Solly who made the push to get rid of Adam Reynolds. That's a fact.
Well, no, they didn't.
It was Blake Solly's ultimate decision. It was him who wanted to drive the change of not just giving Reynolds the extra years. They only gave him 1 year. Reynolds was happy with 2. He was happy with 2. And Blake Solly didn't want to sign off on that. So that's his decision. He's got to wear that decision. And the club would be in a much different position, I think, if they'd kept on to Adam Reynolds. It was a huge mistake, a disastrous mistake by a club. As good as South Sydney, they can't be making mistakes like that.
Yeah.
And they've got 9 wins this year. Do you know what, though? I'm pumped for that. I think Cheese is going to be great for them next year.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, you know what? When the Adam Reynolds, I look back at decision making, the difficulty of it, the complexity of it, and you try and put yourself in the position of South and justify how and why you make that decision. And with difficult decisions, they may not always get the outcome that you want, and you hope that someone else that they would have hoped that Adam Reynolds goes on and does what he's done.
Yeah,
but
because next year's going to be his 4th year at the Broncos. They didn't want to give him 2. Clearly they read that situation wrong. And if I'm a Bunnies fan, I'd be furious that we lost Adam Reynolds.
Yeah, and then you look at, but that I reckon if it's in defence of those decision makers itself, in defence of them, can you have an aging Reynolds and an aging Cody Walker?
But what do they have now? They've got an aging Cody Walker and who alongside him?
Well,
that's the question.
They thought Ilias, didn't they?
Yeah, I know, but then
they thought Dodd.
Yeah, and then they tried Whiten, and then they've got this other. They've tried Jaden Sullivan there as well. They got Ashton Ward there as well.
I mean, they've not stopped trying to solve that problem.
I know, but they created a problem that didn't need to exist.
But then,
and in all honesty, who are you going to move on? Cody Walker or Adam Reynolds? I know the decision I'd want to make would be get rid of Cody Walker. If you've got to get rid of one of them,
you've got to choose between one or the other. Yeah.
We did the big 10 biggest stories of a decade. I'll tell you the 10 biggest stuff-ups of a decade we should do as a podcast. Number 1, losing Adam Reynolds.
Yeah.
What's your grade for their season, though?
Oh, look, they provided with us some amazing moments. I think back to Latrell in the rain, Brisbane Broncos field goal, Wayne Bennett back there at Souths. You wonder what could have been with Cam Murray. He's elite.
Cody Walker missed a ton of time.
Yeah.
Latrell Mitchell missed a ton of time. If they're fully, they're probably, of the teams we've spoken about so far, the team that could rise the most quite comfortably, I'd say, out of the 4 teams we've spoken about.
If they get everyone fit, yeah.
Yeah.
I wonder how much of a deep dive into their S&C, sports science, strength and conditioning, injury prevention, they will undertake during this postseason.
I think they've made some changes there.
You know what? Maybe when you think about how teams review the season, and I know Wayne is thorough but simplistic. I wonder if it'll just be more of the review, and more of the questions will be asked to the support staff, and then it's on them to present around how and why each and every injury occurred. I think you've got to do case by case. You really do. You can't just say, "Oh, it was load," because some are training ground accidents. There are some preventable injuries, undoubtedly, and you can look at as crazy as this sounds, there could be the reason about the move to Heffron Park, and it's a different training facility. And it's different. It's a different grass that leads to more, or that increases the likelihood of a hamstring strain.
Well, mate, these years of injury crisis that they've had, they all do coincide with the change to the Heffron Park facility. So I know it's a bit conspiracy theorist, but there's got to be some questions asked there. There has to be. What's your grade though for them?
You know what? Sorry, just to finish off this point, because a lot of people at home would be going, "Come on, mate, BS." It doesn't matter where you train, but I find it very difficult to verbalize this, but they're finely tuned athletes, and sometimes it doesn't take a lot to break them down or just put them in the danger zone.
Yeah, absolutely.
Put them in the danger zone. That when it could be a simple fix of we need a change of facility or change the turf.
Yeah.
The grade for Souths is a D.
D. Okay.
Yeah, D.
Now, next team, the West Tigers. Now, this is, in my opinion, one of the best stories of the year. And I know it's a bit strange to say about that team coming 12th, but 3 spoons in a row. They finally lifted themselves off the ladder, lifted themselves off the canvas, and threw some punches to the NRL. Benji Marshall, you got to give him a lot of credit. I think a lot of doubters, a lot of people thought rookie coach, too hard a job, But he's created. You can see the culture that's created. They all love each other at the West Tigers, and they're playing for each other.
Yeah, they certainly are, Charlie. They got off to a fantastic start. Ironically, exactly the same start as they did the year before, where they finished with the spoon. I thought Terrell May was fantastic for them. Him being released by the Roosters, very much questioned at the time. Maybe from a Roosters perspective, that has been justified with the emergence of Nafahu White, who has emerged now as one of the premier front rowers in the competition. But Terrell May's impact there, the ability to play 80 minutes, the offload, Luai's leadership experience, almost his confrontational will, probably not had in terms of like numbers and effective performance, but you can see he's the ring leader there within the group that drives all these things that we're talking about. I thought Api Coruscant had another fantastic season. Stafford Toa showed some glimpses of brilliance. Api, as always, like I say, and there's some green shoots there that Benji will now be looking to capitalise on. It was a much improved year for the Tigers. When you look back from a purely Tigers perspective, with Galvin and De Silva leaving, now I think it's a short-term win. Remains to be seen whether it's long-term. But short-term, certainly not the same reaction, feeling as Tedesco Moses leaving.
Yeah. I think Benji Marshall was on Terrell May's podcast, which is a great podcast if you want to check it out, anyone. But he basically had Benji on, and Benji said that we didn't realise how much the Galvin thing was affecting us. And so for them to have done what they've done is pretty incredible, given the Galvin drama that came with it. Because that was, I've almost never seen a circus like in rugby league. The amount of media attention on it, the amount of interest from fans, like it would have been so stressful to deal with as a coach and as a playing group. And you could see the lift they got once they got rid of him. Yeah,
and also look, the spotlight on him and his performances at the Dogs made, it's kind of like the Holbrook situation. He gets stood in better light because Hasler didn't do as well as what we thought with at the Titans, and then Galvin leaving and not becoming this superstar overnight, I think probably helped the Tigers believe in themselves a little bit more. But again, that's very much a short-term view of things with Galvin. But the Tigers will not be worried about Galvin De Silva. They'll be looking internally around how to squeeze a bit more. From memory, only Kai Pearce-Paul is a signing of note.
So far, there's a few whispers maybe Adam Elliott might end up there. Also, like the Bullet missed a lot of time as well. So there's other stuff internally that's going to help them.
May, the
Taylor May, wow, how good was he?
He was, showcasing why he was spoken about so highly. Yeah, and there was a lot of raps on him. When he was starting his NRL career with Penrith, and obviously him now playing with his brother. That's a huge signing at a pretty decent price tag as well. And obviously he's had a huge change in his life as well, and you hope and support that football can help him continue on that journey. But when the season kicked off, I said that the Tigers will be a success, anything but the spoon, and they went above and beyond that.
13th for them. I'll tell you the most important game for them all year, round 20, 21-20 win over the Titans. If they lost that game, they were still very, very much in the spoon battle. And I think that win just gave them that little pressure release. Yeah. Because the way they played, I know they got pumped the week after by the Panthers, but then they beat the Dogs, they beat Manly. They they played really well against the Cowboys.
Yeah, they had to play the Titans twice in the back.
Yes, in the back
end,
half,
didn't they?
yeah. And they obviously lost the last game of the season against them, but it was kind of like our season's done. The Titans had something to play for, they didn't.
Yeah, absolutely.
But mate,
big win for them that,
Yeah.
and then obviously the big win against the Dogs. That was huge for morale and spirit. So the Tigers, they're looking like they could now be the real deal. They've got a very connected squad, which for all the quality of players that they've got, that connection piece it would be the envy of a lot of teams.
Yeah.
Like a lot of other teams don't maybe like them the way they go about their business, and I get that, but you can't deny that they're not that they're not a connected group.
I can't remember a season review podcast where we ended with the Tigers are in a positive position. So that's great news for Tigers fans. What's your grade for them then, Jimmy?
I'm going to go C.
Yeah, I like that. It's a pass. You got to give them a pass mark, and C's a pass, so you have to. Working our way to 12th then, we got the North Queensland Cowboys. For me, the most disappointing team all year. When you think they've got 5 Origin players, they've got a star-studded team, like really, in all honesty. Like to come 12th is pretty poor.
Yeah, plus location.
So it's tough for teams to travel there.
Tough for teams to go, and it should bond you guys closer together. Didn't start great with Helam Lukey going down injured, one of the best back rowers, or potentially best back rowers in the comp. But still, like you mentioned, the likes of Ruben Cotter, Tommy Dearden is playing in that side. We see what he does at State of Origin level. Like he's making a case to be up there in the top 3.
Well, he's on the
5'8".
Australian tour. He's going on the Australian tour.
He'd be considered. Would he be considered top 3 5'8" in the comp?
Well, it depends if you consider him a halfback or a 5'8" these days. He's obviously moved into the 7 jersey.
Yeah.
And that's what he's playing. So, is he a top 3 halfback? No, I don't think he is. If he was playing 5'8", would he be a top 3 5'8"? Probably. You would say so. Munster.
He probably doesn't get enough credit because he's at the Cowboys.
Yeah.
And they don't get the same blockbuster games.
Yeah.
But I think.
But he's a Queensland Origin halfback.
I know. But still, week to week football.
Yeah, because you'd have
Him
I'd have Cleary and Moses ahead of him as a halfback. I'd have Hughes ahead of him.
Yeah, so he's not in the top 3.
No. But he's around the top 5, probably be around there. But ultimately, the team that's under the most pressure next year, or the coach that's under the most pressure, I should say, is Todd Payton.
Yeah, they've been really disappointing in defence again, which is a worry because I think that was their issue the year before. And then, again, they just couldn't seem to fix it. It's etched in my mind the game against Dolphins where I couldn't believe what I was seeing. It's some of the worst defence I've ever witnessed. And obviously it's a bit recency bias, but Dolphins shifted the ball to their left-hand side and the Cowboys' right edge didn't come up with anyone. And I think there was one time maybe a Sarko or Farnworth made a break and he was that spoilt for choice. He didn't. It was harder not to score than to score, and they didn't score. But it was on repeat all game.
Yeah,
it was dreadful.
They conceded 684 points, the Cowboys, which is the second worst, only to the Titans, who had the worst defense in the comp. So that's their biggest thing, isn't it, for next year?
With their players that they've got, though, Charlie, they need to get that sorted quick, smart.
Yeah,
they should be working on defense all off season because they got plenty of points in them.
Yeah, do you reckon based on their roster they should be making the top 8? Is that fair to say?
Well, it's hard, Charlie, because you could say this about 12 teams, I reckon.
Yeah, so they're in that bottom half of the 8, they're in that sort of 6 to 12 bracket.
Yeah, that's where I'd have them. Yeah,
okay,
yeah, for
right.
sure. I'm giving them an E.
An E, yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
Really disappointing. And they flirt with showing you when they get their their game. But do you remember that game? This is how bad their defense is. Do you remember that game against? I think it was the Tigers, and they were up by. It was nearly the biggest comeback ever in NRL, and they just stopped defending.
Yeah, it was terrible. So E for them.
E.
All right. Parramatta Eels. Now, wow, started out so bad. So bad. It looked disastrous.
That game in Melbourne.
Yeah.
Oh,
I just think
that was hot. That was, if you're a Para fan watching that to start the season after all the work of the summer with Riles, you're going, oh shoot.
Yeah.
What have we done?
Got here? You know who the club deserves a lot of credit though for just backing their coach, because they've let Jason Riles has made a lot of decisions that put more pressure on him, but it's for the better of the long-term outlook of the club. Getting rid of Clint Gutherson. Sean Lane's obviously retired now. You've got Bryce Cartwright getting pushed out the door. Ryan Madison they sent over to England. Reed Campbell-Gillard. He saw the players that he wanted and what he didn't want. And, I mean, for them to have 10 wins and come 11th is incredible.
And, I think when you look at the one player that stayed that maybe could have been in that category was Junior Borlo.
Oh, how good
and he
was
went
he?
and he dedicated himself to his new coach.
Slimmed down. You saw the footage of him preseason. It was like, Junior Borlo's lost weight. He's looking good. Training the house down.
Because some players just get comfortable, and Junior Borlo would obviously at one stage one of the best middle forwards in the comp, demanded a high contract, got it paid, and plenty of players in that situation just say, whatever, coach, I'm just going to do and get my money. But he knuckled down.
Yeah. One thing for them that is been an issue now for the last few years is Mitchell Moses' availability.
Yeah.
He only played 13 games this year.
Always will be.
The year before that, he played 8 games. The year before that, 19 games. So that's 3 years now, not managed to crack 20 games. This year, though, 13 games, 7 wins, 6 losses. Like, we spoke about Tom Travojevic for years and how influential he is.
I thought it would have been a higher win.
Even better than that. Yeah, he played those for a couple games at the start. Well, he missed the first 6 games of the year. But he's, 7 and 6. That's the record.
Yeah.
But
well, it's a positive one. Like in terms of like if you get 13 wins and 11 losses, you're playing finals.
Yeah.
So yeah,
he has a claim now to be the most influential player in the game for his team. Mitchell Moses.
I've said this for a long time. He's taken over from Tommy Turbo, mainly because Turbo's got some decent backups with Hopewarte and Kohler, but. Yeah, Moses and Parramatta. If you ever go to a Parramatta game, if you're a Parramatta fan, you know exactly what we're talking about, and the difference in the look, the feel, and the intensity. And sometimes the intensity is driven by your leaders, but sometimes it's driven by the position that your halfback puts you in. Like, it's no coincidence when that kick goes 10 extra meters and the fullback turns around, that kick chase can sprint. And then the knock-on and flow-on effect of that ability to sprint up when you see the fullback or the winger turn around, if that's respectfully another Parramatta half that isn't, and they just kick and the fullback or the winger takes it on the fall, you don't get that. And that's all Mitchell Moses, what he brings. He is the number one player in terms of a single player that holds the keys to victory for his club side. Dylan
Brown is gone, and Jason Riles this year elected not to pick him for a lot of games. And just based on the fact that he was leaving, did you like that move? Like, obviously they're a better team with Dylan Brown in it, but...
Charlie, remember I called that almost instantly. I said that as soon as Parramatta's season is over, they will remove Dylan Brown from the playing roster. Like, they've got young players there that need... or that needed... live practice with no consequence of result. Remember that game they played at Brisbane, and I think it was Yongi at fullback.
Papali'i, I think. Josh Papali'i. He knocked the ball on.
And he knocks the ball on, and Reece Walsh picks it up and scores.
Yeah.
And then it gets taken off.
Because for offside, yeah.
For offside. Well, if that, let's say in Reece Walsh is onside, Josh Papali'i, right, he's got his head in his hands and he's dead, but the season's gone. Now, if Dylan Brown plays and it means that, or Gutherson's still there, or whoever, if he's not in that's such a valuable learning curve, even though the video ref bailed him out. But even if it doesn't, it's such a valuable learning curve around, if I'm in that situation again.
Yeah.
This is how I
dive on the ball.
This is how I deal with it.
Yeah.
This is what I need to do. And you can practice it at training, but the same level of consequence. You got a real feeling of what it was like. So that's exactly why Coach Riles decided that once the season's done, I need to get these young players some opportunities in games because they're here next year.
Isaiah Yongi, he is a freak of a talent. And Joash Papali'i, like, he has so much potential. I was lucky enough to do sideline for his debut, and he had 450 people show up for his
How
debut.
good's that?
He had a whole entire stand, basically, that was his. It was his dad. I remember that was one of my favorite moments. His dad did a speech for the presentation jersey, and Parramatta Eels filmed and posted it. His dad's a character, like, spoke really well. There's some green shoots there. Kitione Kartonga, great player.
Great player. Just on Mitchell Moses as well with his leadership, and some people could argue that this isn't a good example, but he treats everybody the same, and sometimes the young players. So I saw him get stuck into Talon Da Silva for not passing him the ball in the right spot. Well, get it done. And some people can say, "Oh, that's not how you treat people," but Mitchell Moses knows what he wants, and that is the standard. No mucking around here, Town. Like, you can get away with that elsewhere, but not here. Yeah. I'm the man here, and I need it here. Otherwise, you're not going to play.
Yeah. Geez, they got some hooker depth there with Riley Smith and Talon Da Silva.
Yeah.
That would be the best hooker rotation probably in the comp.
Probably Canberra have got it.
With Starling, Anno and Paddy.
And Brayley now.
And Brayley there as well. Yeah, true. A lot of depth. Eels, Jimmy, what have you got for them?
I'm tempted to... Oh, it's the tale of two. It's contrast, isn't it?
Oh, man.
I think how they start to how they finish, and like where you balance that out.
Well, they won 4 of their last 5.
Yeah. And do you get so sidetracked by that recency bias of like how good they were going?
But mate, they're good wins. Like 4 of their last 5.
I know.
They had 5 of their last 7. Like, they were the form team of the comp, you could argue, to finish. They beat teams like the Broncos. They beat the Cowboys. They beat the Roosters. They beat the Warriors. And they thumped the Knights in the last game of the season.
But then at the start of the season, if they had a great finish, just by definition, they had an awful start. And it's the whole grade. I'm like between a C and a D.
No. You can't give the Tigers a C, and then I think the Parramatta has been more impressive than the Tigers, no? Or do you think that... Like the right, because remember, Tigers and Eels both battled in the Spoon Bowl. They both battled in the Spoon Bowl last year.
Yeah, you know what?
Mate, I think it's a B- for Para. Like, is that madness?
Tony is like, let's Tony's the Para fan. Tony, raise your hand if you think Para's season should be graded a B.
Yeah.
Oh my God! Yeah, you take those Parramatta glasses off,
mate. Are you exactly right?
It's not the way you started. It's a season review, not the last 5
but mate,
games.
they were the form team of the comp. They won 5 and 2 of the last 7 games, and like, yeah, everyone tipped them for the Spoon, except for you. You tipped the Raiders.
No, they didn't. No, they didn't. Oh, you know what?
You with us?
Overruled. B then.
All right, next team then, Jimmy, as we work our way up the ladder. And thanks everyone, by the way, thanks everyone who's bought a jersey, I should say.
Yeah,
it's very nice. We appreciate it a lot. Like, so thanks very much for everyone who's done that.
Much appreciated.
Manly Seagulls though, Jimmy.
12 and 12.
12 and 12.
Sometimes get you in.
Yep.
Most of the time doesn't.
Yeah, Jimmy's 13 rule. We heard about that extensively in the 2024 season.
Well,
of the
it's all
bye
about
round.
how I view the ladder. I hate the points.
Yeah.
Done this many points. When you got buys.
I'll get rid of the points for buys, though.
Yeah.
Although we found out it makes them sort by losses. So there's some reason to it. But Manly Seagulls, for me, this year is DCE. And how his contract saga basically stuffed their season up.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, I know a bit of a longer form review, but DCE being, quote, what you label it, allowed to leave, let go, for what, 16, 15 years was he there?
Yeah, it's whole season. Yeah. So whole season.
No, for how many seasons did he play it?
His whole career he's been there.
So like 14, 15 years, whatever it was.
What did I say? His whole season.
Yeah, his whole season, yeah.
It's been a long podcast, man.
It has. That just ruined them. Yeah. There was no coming back from that. Like, so early in the year that the split between, the angst amongst the playing group, the boardroom frustrations. I put myself in the position of, say, like a Jake or a Tom Teboyevich, right? And you're going for answers, and you're going, like, if that happened to me, like if I'm at the Dogs and that happens, or at St. Helens or the Dragons or whatever, I'm going for answers. I want to know what the hell is going on here. And I'd go and speak to DCE, and I'd get a version of events from him. And then I'd go and see Tony Mestroff, and I'd want, or whoever's making that decision, I'd want to know. And both versions of events wouldn't match up, because we've heard different versions of events. We've probably heard, Charlie, you and I get a bit of access behind closed doors. I reckon I've heard about 4 different versions of events.
Yeah.
Around when DC told Manly if a contract was offered to him or not, when a deal was struck with his potential new club, when he informed his teammates,
if it was about money or not about money, if the original offer was offensive, not offensive,
like
if Manly already had Fogarty done anyway, and that's why they offered him maybe what he considered unders. Like there's so many different elements to this.
Manly didn't actually want
DC. They actually happy to see him go, and that's why they
go. Yeah. So, well, mate, it's 3 or 4. Mate, we've just talked about 7 or 8 different versions of events, and we don't know the truth. And maybe 2 of those are close, and there's a little bit of middle. Maybe it's I don't know, and that's the difficult thing when people ask you about it. You know, I can only go off what I witnessed, and that is DCE going on TV to announce that he's not going to be playing for Manly anymore, and then this counter offer coming through on a different TV station. I'm confused because I know what it's like to announce to a playing group that you care about that. You're no longer going to be with them. Like, I think back to St. Helens, think back to the Bulldogs, it's horrible.
Yeah.
And to be able to do it on TV with straight face and not get emotional about your time at a football club like that, usually, I've never seen anybody that is so connected to or should be so connected to a club in terms of the club captain, one club player, not break down.
Yeah.
And even as a teammate, I've broke down when other people go. Like, I've seen Gareth Widdop present to the group, and I knew it was coming, and I was like, I said, don't you dare, like about a week before, mate, don't be going. And I think he sort of knew not to, like, boys, I've just got to tell you something. I was like, guys, don't. And he's going, and then I'm going. We're like, you're so connected. So that's all I can go off is. But then I also know what it's like in the background when club administrators muck you around and get it wrong, and it was just a complete and utter mess. And when there's so many different versions of the truth that we know about, imagine what it's like at Manly.
Yeah. I was
like, imagine all those different versions, and then having to try and come together in some form of united front.
Yeah, it'd be nearly impossible. It would be nearly impossible. And the thing with Manly, I was on Manly's side. In all honesty, I thought, Manly DCE's done it in a way that is very public and it's going to derail their season. I think he's stuffed it up for them. But then now the way they've handled this Tom Trbojevic thing, I think that whatever's Manly's doing is they need to sort their shit out, basically.
Yeah,
you can't be going to someone with an offer and then the next minute that it's $100,000 a year less than it's
that's a big no.
Poor business, and then the way it's structured, is strange.
Yeah,
you've got, Seabolt's not involved at all in the contract.
Doesn't seem.
Mestrov is involved in the contract until it gets to a finalised level. You've got this guy Peter Gentle who's meant to look after it all,
and then you've got the owners in the pet. Is it Scott Penn?
Yeah.
That needs to oversee any deal over X amount of $100,000. It's like, what he's got, you're setting yourselves up for failure. And there's in the DCE saga, there's no winners. I'm of the opinion there's no DCE doesn't come out of this winning. Manly certainly don't come out of this winning. Again, like, whose side are you on? Like, we're playing whose side are you on with your team captain? Like, should that be happening? Whose side are you on? And we did look at it differently, and then we were just a mess. Just a mess.
Mess of a season.
Forget Paseka being ruled out. Like, Paseka plays. They could have brought back Jamie Lyon, Glenn Stewart, Chocky Watmow, Stevie Matai, Beaver Menzies, Cliffy Lyons. That mess is going on with DCE. They just don't get there.
It's a long now drought for them as well between drinks. They're a team that, had won a premiership in every decade for the NRL era. So hopefully they can get things right. What's your grade for them, Jimmy?
I think you got to go D.
D, okay.
Yeah, I looked at them at the beginning of the season, oblivious to the DCE thing happening, and thought and look, this is a very generic saying, but I thought they could be top 4.
Yeah.
Like Olakau'atu, one edge, destruction.
He was a big loss for them as well.
Yeah, he was.
Paseka was huge. They get those two back. They add Fogarty in. Fogarty DCE, is that an upgrade for you? 50, like a
it's on the fence.
Yeah,
it's on the fence. That is a glass coffin.
Remains to be seen,
because I think DC had checked out as well.
Yeah, there was some moments.
So it depends what DC you get. Like, if you get the DC that's dialed in,
yeah,
and a bit more committed, and maybe James Tedesco-esque drop from rep football, goes, I'm going to show the world what I'm about. Maybe you get the last 12 months of and a motivated DCE at Manly for his last 12 months, gives it a red hot crack. Maybe you get something there, and then versus a Fogarty who, I don't know if we're going to see much difference in his performance, but maybe with a better environment. Just on the final thought on DCE. Should he? I wonder if him not announcing it where he's going was a final FU to Manly.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, because a lot of us have wondered about why not make it public. And I hope this isn't the case. I really do. But I just wonder if it was one last little play from him. Because everyone I've spoken to around the NRL was of the opinion of just get it done. Just get it out there and let's all move on and move forward. And all roads lead to Bondi. So you've got to look at reasons why not announce that. Like, why would a club not announce it? There's no real reason to. Like, the players in terms of your Sandon Smiths and your Hugo Savalas and your Sam Walkers are going to be acutely aware. So I don't think there's a protection for them. But then why, if you're DC, would you not announce it? So that is the question that nobody can answer. And just thinking now, when I'm reviewing the season, is it one last little play from him that he feels that he's been hard done by, and it's the last little, this is my play to you?
Yeah. I think it could be. I think it could be he wants to control it to a level where he can just say stuff. Yeah, I'm not going to tell you. I'm going. I'm not going to tell you where I'm going. It's none of your business.
Yeah, and no one.
I'll tell you when I'm ready to tell you.
You'll find out in the press.
Yeah.
And you know what? I'm just thinking, and maybe he's just like, look, I thought it'd be a distraction, but obviously that question never went away.
I mean, I thought it would be a distraction. Was the stupidest line ever because it wasn't. It was
more of a distraction.
It would have just been room innuendo in the background.
Yeah.
Whereas
and you know what?
The surface, Mestroff v DCE, Siebes v DCE, Turbos v DCE. It just was a mess of a year. Some positives though. Leho Hapuade, what a player.
Yeah.
Tolu Kula, what a player.
They face a bit of a task to fit them all in.
We probably should chalk Jake Travojevic just actually before. I probably asked you the grading a little bit early to me, but Jake Travojevic obviously missed the end of the season with concussions. the talk he hasn't officially re-signed yet. The talk is he will re-sign an extra year. Are you worried at all about that? I mean, it's a tough thing for you to comment on. You don't know.
No. Concussion is a serious issue. I guess that the older and more mature you get, the less risk you're willing to take. And Jake is, I'm assuming, motivated now to just go and win a premiership for his football club, and I know what this is like. It's a risk calculation, a risk reward, because some things are worth risking your future health for, some things aren't.
Yeah,
and Jake won't. I can't imagine. I shouldn't say Jake won't. I can't imagine a player risking their future health if there's not the ultimate prize at the end of the road. So he'll have to look and assess and see what that looks like. If it's as bad as what people say, that's how I view it. He may view it differently. That's just like, oh, I'm fine, I'm clear, I'm good.
If Manly get going, they can contend. So hopefully it's a better year for them next year. The last team, Jimmy, in our bottom 9 review, it's the Dolphins, and what a year for them. What a year for them. 12 wins, 12 losses. They just missed out in their first finals appearance again. But every year, the Dolphins are rising closer and closer. And you think the injuries they had, like their forward pack, fully fit, and even they lost more players outside of the forward pack. Bostock on the wing. Like, they've had so many injuries.
Nicarima out for a little bit.
Herbie Farmouth at the end of the year with his hammy. Like, if he doesn't do his hammy, maybe they make the 8. Like, it's
0-4 to start the season.
Correct.
A lot of people wondering where and when the Dolphins are going to pick up their first win from. A lot of pressure on Christian Wolf, the old
the Wayne Bennett curse.
Wayne Bennett curse was, already being spoken about when they were 0-4. They had the cyclone go through and a couple of players not go down to that relocated game against South Sydney. And then the Dolphins really changed their approach, and maybe Christian Wolf took a less defensive and safe approach to the game, because it did appear that Tabuai Fidow in particular was a little bit wasted and not getting as heavily involved in the games as he should. And then once him, Farmworth, Avarillo, and Katoa all got going, combining together, they looked unstoppable. Basically, almost a full team of starting forwards missing at some stage, with Flegler, Gilbert, Plath, Saifiti, Jeremy Marshall-King at different stages as well. Like,
there's more there. There.
Like that's a lot of players to me. I think brilliant bringing Molo in. They've signed well for next year. If they can keep everyone fit, that the sky is the limit. Katoa, I personally think Katoa had a better season than Nathan Cleary. Now, I know Nathan Cleary got scrum half of the year in the Dally M team of the year, but for me, I think Katoa had a better season.
Yeah.
Like, season on season in comparison, I'm personally of the opinion that Katoa got him.
Lockie Galvin's got a lot of hype, but Izzy Katoa is going to be just a great of the game for years and years and years to come. The only worry for rugby league should be Izzy Katoa's connection to rugby union, and if the Wallabies are a team that interests him, because the NRL needs to do everything they can to hang on to him. He's so good to watch. Like, mate, you look at his try assists and his plays, like, he's easily my favourite player to watch these days.
And with little to no go forward.
Yeah.
Like, little to no go forward, and you're creating that many opportunities. Imagine the difference in his ability to play if those players that we just mentioned are fit, laying the platform, defending better, all the different field position advantages that would give him. Obviously, it's going to be more difficult for him now because he's going to get a lot more attention in terms of like teams prepping against him, but then he may just be helped by the fact that he's got that level of prep on him will help his teammates as well. And then, I think when you talk about Izzy Katoa being lost to rugby union, one the hardest thing is getting him in Origin because he's behind Nathan. And he's going to be behind Nathan for 4 seasons.
Well, it's why he had to leave Penrith.
Yeah.
He can't leave New South Wales, I'm afraid.
No. And like, look, his pathway to Origin is probably... He's probably third in line at the moment.
Could you do the Mitchell Moses, Nathan Cleary, and just put 2 halves in the halves? I mean, New South Wales' best halves combination for the last couple of years has been when Moses and Cleary play together.
Yeah, it's well. The question then is, can Katoa play 6 for the game plan that the coach wants to implement? That's the question. Can he be the 14?
Potentially.
Like I've spoke to quite a few of the best in that position, and they can't help but be amazed by what this kid can do. And not once, twice, like he's done it for the overwhelming majority of the season.
Yeah. Most points this year. They had the most points scored. You hear Andrew Johns talk about Izzy Katoa.
Yeah.
Let's go listen to Andrew Johns speak about Izzy Katoa.
That's the person I'm referring to. I was at Sportsman's with him. He just couldn't.
He's just in awe.
Like he was just, wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like when people talk about the best player at this age, I think that most people agree. Like for Katoa, what he's doing at 20, 21, 22. And you know what? I reckon I've looked at Katoa, and you know what will help the Dolphins keep him? It's that relationship with Christian Wolf.
Yeah.
Because they formed a relationship before Izzy Katoa had even played NRL while he was actually still at school, and he was playing for the Tongan national side.
Yeah, wow. Okay.
So that's a huge factor when it comes to keeping a player at a club. Like Christian Wolf knows this man inside out. Like they have a very strong bond.
The Dolphins have done a lot for Izzy Katoa as well off the field. They even fronted some of his contract as well, so he could buy a house and get established in the area. Like they're looking after him in the best way possible.
Well, it makes sense to.
Of course. And all those rumours that came out sort of this year as if he might want out, that's just absolute nonsense. Izzy Katoa loves playing for the Dolphins.
Well, he certainly, it looks like he does.
Yeah, yeah.
It looks like he does. And even when you think of the players that he's got around him, like who wouldn't love playing with the Hammer and Farnworth and Avarillo, and that freedom that he's allowed to play with.
You wonder if the Hammer didn't get injured during that last game, if he could have got Mark Nwangane Tuase, because he was scoring a try every few minutes.
I think he was on. You hope that he can stay. He can be a one club player there.
Is he?
Izzy Katoa, yeah. But
what a cool story though to be the guy who took this brand new franchise into years and years of dominance. Because whichever team has Izzy Katoa is going to be a contender.
Yeah, you'd hope imagine the next decade where we're all comparing Cleary to Johns now and Sterling and the likes, and it is Cleary an immortal, and he's only 27. But then let's fast track another 6-7 years and wonder where Izzy Katoa could be.
Yeah. In
terms if he can get that new franchise to a premiership, maybe win a couple, maybe take over from Nathan with State of Origin, it's exciting times for him and the Dolphins.
It should strike fear into all the 16 clubs that don't have Izzy Katoa, because he's that good. He's going to make this team so great. The rest of the team next year as well, like that. Hopefully Flegler gets back.
Flegler back. Morgan Knowles, trust me, he's a player. Okay. Cobbo as well adds all the even greater options.
Yeah.
That is a stacked team.
Max Plath healthy. I think Oren Keeley has been a player that's emerged this year as well.
Gilbert.
Herbie Farnworth is maybe the best centre in the comp. He's probably the only player in England's team that would have got picked by the Kangaroos as well.
Don't like that chat, Charlie.
Yeah. But that's the reality, I'm afraid, Jimmy. But the Dolphins, what's the grade for them?
I'm going to give them a B.
A B. I like it. I hope they make the finals next year. Dolphins became this year for me the like must-see TV team. Like, doesn't matter who they're playing, what time, you got to watch the Dolphins. You got to see how they go because it was just something was going to happen. It's fun.
Can you imagine you said about them playing finals if they meet the Broncos?
Oh, wow. Oh, mate, 250,000 people try to get tickets for the Broncos v the Panthers, the biggest event ever in Brisbane's history. Forget Ed Sheeran, forget Oasis. I don't know if they're playing in Brisbane, but forget Oasis. It was the Broncos v the Panthers. Imagine if it's the Broncos v the Dolphins in a prelim final.
How good.
You'd have millions of people trying to get in. Take it to Homebush.
Yeah, put some charter flights on.
That's part one, Jimmy.
Part one, done and dusted, Charlie. Enjoyed getting stuck in. Bit nervous about part two because there's a club in particular that I don't think you're going to be happy with my rating for.
Let me guess. It's the Bulldogs an A, Lockie Galvin an A.
Well,
stay tuned.
Stay tuned.